All right, starting off with Section 1, the crossover effect, which is really all about this mainstream cultural movement.
What we're seeing in 2026 is that API influence in pop culture is absolutely no longer a niche trend. It has fully evolved into a mainstream cultural movement, a dominant global force that is actively crossing all demographic lines. To really grasp the scale of this, just look at this massive number, 20.5 billion. That represents the total minutes watched of Netflix's original movie, K-pop Demon Hunters. But honestly, the most crucial part isn't just that sheer volume of minutes, it's who is actually watching. This film became the #1 movie among Hispanic, Asian, Black, and white viewers in 2025. It literally captured every single demographic. And this trend absolutely continues across formats. Look at Netflix's BTS The Return. It scored 47 million viewing minutes in just its first 7 days. Now, why does this matter so much to media buyers and brands? Well, 73% of that audience was non-Asian, and nearly 60% of the viewers were Gen X and millennials. This K-Power is building a digital bridge that completely redefines multi-generational fandom. It proves that this content doesn't just reach existing mass audiences, it actually creates them from scratch.
And this brilliantly illustrates how this crossover effect isn't just limited to entertainment. When we look at Time magazine's 2026 list of the world's most influential people, AAPI figures are dominating across the board. You've got titans of business like Google CEO Sundar Pichai, icons of sports like Olympic champions Elisa Liu and Chloe Kim, political leaders like New York's Zoran Mamdani, and innovators like YouTube CEO Neil Mohan. They aren't just participating, they're leading on the global stage.
Moving right along to Section 2, driving the tech revolution and how we're transitioning from theory into reality. In 2026, Asian Americans are moving technology from theoretical potential directly into tangible reality, really acting as the visionary founders driving human progress. Looking at these specific breakthroughs, you can see how they're going to impact your daily life. Fei-Fei Li is developing spatial AI that will allow domestic and industrial robots to navigate 3D environments just like humans do. Shirley Meng is breaking the green energy bottleneck with solid-state, anode-free batteries that are safer and way faster to charge. And Yasser Arafat is aiming to have a commercial microreactor up and running by July 4th, 2026. The big takeaway here is that Meng's batteries or Arafat's microreactors will literally power the grids in your own neighborhoods very, very soon.
Now, this innovation also heavily extends into national security. Take Alexander Wang, CEO of Scale AI, who's focusing on the sovereignty of data. This is the absolutely critical work of creating verifiable, ground truth datasets. So why does this matter to us? Because it ensures that artificial intelligence can be safely deployed in super high-stakes military and logistics environments. These technology breakthroughs by AAPI leaders are directly shaping national defense and global safety right now. Which brings us to Section 3, breaking the bamboo ceiling. This is where we run into a bit of a leadership paradox.
Because despite all those massive, undeniable technological contributions we just talked about, our narrative hits a stark ground reality when we look at corporate America as a whole. To see the full picture, just look at this contrast. We have an incredibly high representation of Asian Americans working within the tech workforce. Yet, simultaneously, there is a severe underrepresentation of Asian Americans in non-tech executive leadership roles. Think sectors like finance, retail, and media. This contrast visually emphasizes the bamboo ceiling, a really frustrating barrier that limits career advancement into those top executive suites.
So the crucial point is understanding the root of this paradox. The barriers in corporate America include deeply ingrained cultural stereotypes, where individuals are often perceived as highly technical but supposedly lacking leadership qualities. There is also a widely noted lack of mentorship and sponsorship opportunities, and this is compounded by disparities across different East, South, and Southeast Asian subgroups. Creating genuinely inclusive workplaces and robust mentorship programs is absolutely vital to fixing this inequity across the board.
All right, let's shift gears to Section 4, Policy and Economic Realities, looking at the ground truth of 2026. Let's move from those corporate struggles to everyday anxieties. We're going to rely on impartial survey data from AAPI Data and AP-NORC to uncover what the community actually cares about and worries about in 2026. When asked about top policy priorities, 58% of respondents cited cost of living and inflation. This is followed by war and foreign policy at 46% and healthcare at 44%. These statistics show some really severe economic anxieties regarding inflation, coupled with significant geopolitical stress, much of which has been recently triggered by events like the US-Iran clashes in the Strait of Hormuz.
Now, looking at how these priorities translate politically, the latest polling data gives us a clear, neutral picture. It shows the AAPI community largely views government spending on military, defense, and immigration enforcement as too high. Furthermore, the surveys report that the community currently places higher trust in Democrats over Republicans to handle their top priority issues, which include, as we saw, healthcare and the cost of living.
But here is the really telling part. Whoever happens to be in charge, a massive 70% of AAPI adults are not at all or only slightly confident that the government will make progress on important problems in 2026. This shows a stark, undeniable pessimism toward government solutions, which really sets up the community's need for self-reliance and internal community protection. That need for protection perfectly transitions us to Section 5, targeting the vulnerable and the alarming rise of scams. All that economic anxiety we just looked at? Well, it's been heavily compounded by direct threats to seniors in the community. Now, what's really interesting and honestly super alarming about this is this specific number, $5,800. That is the average financial loss experienced by AAPI adults who have fallen victim to fraud. And we aren't talking about a few isolated incidents here. An estimated 4.1 million AAPI adults across age groups have experienced a scam. But the community is actively responding. As Daphne Kwok, the VP of Audience Strategy at AARP, states, there is a major commitment to ensuring that older adults have access to trusted resources to protect themselves. And this is especially urgent right now, given the rapid rise of sophisticated AI-driven scams that are purposefully targeting older adults who may not be as familiar with these new technological threats.
Finally, we arrive at Section 6, Power in Unity, and how we are strengthening communities together.
After looking at some of those tough challenges, I want to shift to a really uplifting conclusion tied to the 2026 Heritage Month theme, strengthening communities together. It's a focus on how resilience, shared history, and philanthropy really bind this diverse demographic together. And this recognition wasn't overnight, it was a decades-long fight. It started way back in 1977 with the first congressional resolutions. By 1979, President Carter designated the first Heritage Week. In 1990, President Bush expanded it to a full month. And finally, in 1992, May was permanently designated by Congress. This is a rich legacy, leading directly into America's 250th anniversary in 2026.
And honestly, to really summarize the enduring strength of the AANHP community, I just have to share this powerful quote from the late former Secretary Norman Y. Mineta. He was a political trailblazer and a WWI internee. He said, "If we will act together, then we are strong enough to withstand any evil, internal or external, that threatens to unravel this beautiful tapestry that is America." Which brings us to the end of our explainer today. We've seen the immense pop culture contributions, the literally world-changing tech innovations, and the very real economic and corporate challenges facing the AANHP community right now. So I'll leave you with this provocative thought. As we look forward, how will you contribute to the beautiful tapestry of our shared future in 2026? Think about it, keep learning, and I will catch you on the next explainer.